صلب اختصاصنا اللي هو EFL ESL. So in this chapter we have what? Culture and language teacher. Here there are certain questions at the beginning of this chapter. What is a reasonable working definition of culture? We will see what is culture, what is the definition of culture, and we have examples of culture. Then the second one, what cultural adjustment process do most expatriates experience? So both of these will be explained. First, we come to the first question. What is a reasonable working definition of culture? What is culture? This is very important for all of us because we as EFL, ESL teachers who teach English as a second language need to know about culture. Okay, when they go to schools, when they teach English language, they have to know about culture, about their culture, of course, their own culture, and the culture of the language you are teaching. So, what is culture? We will see. Although there are many ways to define culture, here it refers, this is the definition of culture. It refers to the common values and beliefs. So, culture is what? Common values and beliefs of a people, of a community, and the behaviors that reflect them. So this is general definition of culture. It refers to the common values and beliefs of a people, of a group of people, and the behaviors that reflect them. Behaviors that reflect these values and beliefs. At the risk of overgeneralizing, it is possible to talk about common beliefs and values and about how they can differ from culture to culture, as well as the behaviors associated with them. You see? In order to explain, to discuss how values and beliefs can vary, can be different. Okay? As here, to talk about things that differ from culture to culture. To illustrate this, so we have illustration. We have illustration about the difference between cultures. We will see some differences between cultures. Okay, so to illustrate how values and beliefs can vary, let's look at the way people make use of time in two different cultures. For example, North American and Saudi Arabia, or for example, Iraq and British in England, British people, I mean, in Iraq and in England. Okay, and here how culture is different from one country to another. For example, when you go to an occasion, when you attend an occasion in Iraq, and when you attend an occasion in England, concerning time, is it the same? Especially Iraqis, when they tell you that they will come at 7 o'clock or they will come at 10 o'clock. They will come at 10 or not? Are they different from the British people when they tell you that they will come at, for example, 10 o'clock? Of course, Iraqis, one of the characteristics of Iraqi people is that we are not punctual. We are not on time. We are not on time. We don't come on time. We give you time, then we are late. For example, I tell you that I will meet you at 9, but I will not come at 9. I will come at 10 or 12. Okay, this is different from one country to another. So here we have example, North American and Saudi Arabia concerning time. For the average American, it's very important. Time is very important for people in general in American. Very important. Americans are constantly setting deadlines based on time. Okay, deadlines. مثلا عندهم زفاف، يبدي الزفاف بالستة يخلص بالسبعة، هو بالسبعة يشوفه عنده موعد ثاني another appointment and عنده شغلة ثانية. Time is not open، ما مفتوح التايم. Okay, this is what we mean by setting deadlines based on time, and will end conversations before they may be finished by looking at their watches and saying, oh, excuse me, I have to go, or I will be late. Okay, usually Americans use this. Here in Iraq, we don't use it. If someone is speaking to you, they continue. I mean, the speaker and the hearer. One continues speaking, and the hearer continues listening. Okay, we don't say, oh, excuse me, I have to go, I will be late, I have something to do. American English is full with references to time. Time is something to be on, spent, gained, kept, filled, killed, saved, used, waste, lost, and planned. So this is time. Okay, they look at time in this way. Something, you spend it, you gain it, you keep it, etc. In contrast, as I told you, this is the introduction of this chapter. It is about culture and how differences between culture. واحد يقول أستاذ شنو الفائدة من الكالتشر؟ قل له مهم الكالتشر حتى تعرف أنت بتدريس هاي الكالتشر شلون تستعمل مصطلحات، شنو تعرفها، شو يفكرون دول الكالتشر، شنو عبارات يستعملوها إلى آخره. In contrast, Arabs see time as flowing from the past to the present to the future, and they flow with it. You see Arab flowing from the past to the present and to the future, and they flow with it. Social events and appointments do not always have fixed beginnings or endings. This is the point. You see the difference between Arabs and Americans? We don't have fixed beginnings or endings. ماكو fixed. يعني يقول لك اليوم العرس الساعة 8 تعالوا معزومين، تروح ب8 وما تلقاه بادي، تلقاه بادي ب9، ينتظر ساعة. ماكو ending، ماكو واحد راح زفة اليوم وبيها ending. But Americans are different. Okay, so our nature as Arabs, we don't have fixed beginnings or fixed ending. مثلا نقول لك ألتقي بك الساعة ب8، I will meet you at 8 o'clock. ماكو. ورا اللقاء ايش قد ويخلص، اكو ساعة، ماكو. limitless يعني. Don't have beginning or ending. If a time for an appointment has been set, under many circumstances it is acceptable to be late. You see? Even if there's time, it will be late, especially if the person is engaged in conversation. So it is acceptable. We Arabs, we accept it. This is our nature. We accept to be late, especially if we have good conversation. It would be rude. This is concerning Arabic culture, our culture. It would be rude to leave in the middle of it. يعني من غير اللائق. rude يعني غير لائق. impolite. It is impolite to leave. يعني واحد يجي يقول له sorry, I have to go. I have to go, or I will be late. I want to do something. I'm very busy. forgive me, I want to go. In Arab, we don't use this. Americans use this. Why? Since maintaining friendships and engaging in human interaction are, are more highly valued than being on time. You see, we Arabs engaging, maintaining friendships, and engaging in human interaction are more highly valued. يعني يعطى قيمة أكثر مية than being on time. But Americans, no, the opposite. Being on time, more highly than, okay? Here in this paragraph, the value assigned to equality among people is another way. So this is another example. Another example, equality, to illustrate different values and behavior across cultures. For Americans, equality is a highly cherished value. Americans say all people are created equal, مساواة, and that all people have an equal opportunity to succeed in life. You see here the differences between cultures. This is their look at equality. These are foundations on which the country was founded. هذا الأساس اللي بنى عليه البلد. As such, an American ideal is to treat people as equals regardless of their status. Regardless, whether they are professors, judges, doctors, lawyers, teachers, workers, simple people, they are all the same. They treat people the same, equals, regardless of their status. For example, although a custodian and professor at university, يعني نجيب لك واحد راعي شبت، راعي مال غنام مثلا, and professor at university may not likely to be close friends. They would engage in friendly chat in elevators and hallways. يعني ممكن صاعدين بالمصعد واحد راعي وواحد بروفيسور دكتور, ممكن يحجون ويسولفون ويضحكون. لكن احنا مثلا عندنا بهذا البلد يصير ما يصير. تشوف مثلا واحد واصل شوف نفسه مثلا مرتبة عليا ما ينزل, كان ما نزل نفسي واحد شوي هذا واضحك. شوف الاختلاف بين cultures. And neither would act in ways to make the other feel personally inferior or superior. يعني حتى ما يتصرف انه يخليك انه يعتبر انه superior, يعني above you, فوقك, ولا يخلي عليه انه الراعي مثلا او انسان الفقير العامل انه يعتبر نفسه هو inferior, مستوى ادنى منك. يشعر كأنما both of you are the same. This is different. Okay, in Arab culture, Arabic culture, we Arabs, we are different from them, from Americans. You see, unlike Americans, the majority of the world sees equality quite differently. Rank, status, and authority are considered far more important. مثلا يعطينا عن Thailand society, مجتمع التايلندي. There exists the possibility of social mobility. A Thai peasant can end up being a prime minister, for instance. However, while in a particular status or class, Thais, including those in the lowest status, tend to accept this condition as part of their fate. See the difference? Within this system, Thais value well-defined social behaviors that specify the status of each person. For example, in the presence of a professor, a student would not engage in a friendly chat. شوف مثلا إذا دكتور موجود professor, students will not speak to the professor. See, unless addressed, يعني unless the professor speaks to him, and he or she would be accepted to behave in specific ways that show that the professor has a higher status. You see? Of course, yeah, even in Arabs, in Arabic culture, we Arabs we do this. When students are speaking to their teachers, to their professors, they speak in the way that show that the professor has a higher status, a higher position, has authority. One way to reflect the other person's higher status is to show this in entitled. We use this word, okay, which is what? A mingling of reverence, respect, deference, homage and fear. شو احنا الطالب مالتنا من يحكي ويا الأستاذ أكيد يتواضع له، ما يعلي صوته، يبين إن الأستاذ هو عنده يعني باور، سلطة وقوة ومكانة. ولو احنا هسه بالمجتمع تغير، معظم الطلاب يعني قاموا يحترمون، باقي يعني ما يحترم بصورة عامة نحكي مو يعني I'm speaking in general in Iraq. Okay. For example, the Thai student would also keep his or her height slightly lower, يعني ينزل راسه than the professors while passing him or her. يعني من يمر يم الأستاذ شوفها بالتايلند شو يسوي الطالب؟ ينزل راسه، هنا يشرب جقاير وينفخ بوجه الأستاذ. هم تطور. Here we have another example, a final example of how values are كلش مهمات يعني. It is very important to read about culture, to understand about culture. Final example of how values and behaviors across culture can differ concerning the value associated with avoiding conflict and maintaining harmony. يعني شلون تتجنب المشاكل وتحافظ على يعني علاقة طيبة وانسجام. For example, American value direct confrontation to solve conflicts. You see? يعني if they have problem, if the Americans have problem, they will go, for example, I am an American. Imagine, تخيل أنا أمريكي هسه. I have a problem with my friend. I will go to my friend and I will speak to him face to face. Confrontation, مواجهة, direct confrontation. I will tell him, for example, what's the problem with you? What's the matter? Do I make something wrong with you? What do you want? Or for example, if I have problem with someone, I will go to this man. I will talk to him. Why you are doing this with me? Face to face. اختلف هسه احنا عندنا العراقيين لا ما عندنا direct confrontation indirect. مثلا عندك واحد ضوج منه اسوي لك شغله تروح غيره تروح تحكي عليه تروح يقول هيك شو تسوي ما تروح تقول له يا بروح واجهه ما يواجه يغلس يضمها إله يضمها وبعدين تربص له. قليلين من العراقيين few Iraqis value direct confrontation. شفت الاختلاف بين الكالتشرز. اما الامريكانز لا يروح وجه لوجه. واقول استاذ شو الفائده عندنا؟ لا اقول له بين فائده اختيار الوردز كلمات هنا. when you go to someone and you speak face to face, how do you behave? How do you use the words? What kind of words do you use? This is very important. شوف Asian countries مجتمعات الآسيوية avoiding confrontation. You can read this. Okay. For example, if Tai is angry at her friend, she will be indirect, perhaps by talking with another friend, This is similar in Iraq. Okay, similar in Iraq. Sometimes we have this in Iraq, that when some Iraqis have problem, they will talk to their friends. Okay, وهذا the third part الطرف الثالث هو راح يجيك ويقول لك here you can see here traditional Islamic Arab, okay, values can be traced in almost every aspect to Quran, for example, that they believe that God alone, not humans, can control, etc. All these are what differences. Buddhism يعني البوذية, Hinduism يعني الهندوسية, all these are different. See, Jewish. This is concerning the term culture. What is culture? It is related to, it refers to values and behaviors, norms, and we have seen these examples, the difference between cultures. We have so many differences. What is important for you students, and you will be teachers of English language, you have to understand. You have to understand culture. Okay? Culture, let me talk about this point. Okay? Culture is very important. Culture is very important. بدكم هسه هاي الخلاصة على الكالتشر حتى تفهم شنو الكالتشر حتى أدخل في هذا الموضوع. When you want to be like native speakers, like an English native speakers, when you learn words, when you go, for example, to colleges, to English, for example, English department, or when you go to an institute to learn English, maybe you will learn a lot. You will learn so many words, so many things about English language. Maybe you will be able to speak fluently. Still, without culture, you will not be like native speaker or near native speaker. Okay? To be like native speaker, you have to know their culture. I mean, native speakers' culture. You have to know about culture. واحد يقول what is culture? قلنا لك هسه culture خدناها. So it is important to know about culture, about customs, beliefs, their jokes, proverbs, أمثال, نكات, wisdoms. Okay. All these are related to culture. Without them, you will never be like native speakers. Even if you study for a long time, even if you learn a lot of words, phrases, vocabularies, good grammar, good pronunciation, all these things will not make you like native speaker. So if you want to be like native speaker, you need to know about their culture, about the culture of the language you are learning. This is very important. This is the importance of culture. You have to read about it when you see their movies, when you see their daily life, how they behave in their daily life. When you want to go, for example, to the United States, to England, you live with them, you know about their culture. And this way, we can say that you are like native speaker. This is very, very, very important. What cultural adjustment process do most expatriates experience. Expatriates means those who are outside. Okay. مغتربين يعني. Strangers. Most of us have mixed emotions about moving to another country. You see, if we want to move to another country, move to another country. شلون أنت راح تتكيف؟ كيف يستطيع أن يتكيف الغرباء من ينتقلون إلى منطقة جديدة، إلى بلد جديد؟ Is it something easy for them to cope, يتأقلم with the new situation? Of course, most of us have mixed emotion about moving to another country. This is true for those of us who have relocated to teach EFL, or in case of non-native speakers of English, to study and live in English-speaking countries, for example. When we move to a country, we want to speak English, for example, to study English. مثل ما احنا يروحون تركيا، عندنا يروحون للهند، ماليزيا، بريطانيا، أمريكان to study, for example. أكو يروحون يهاجرون. We are excited about the prospect of a new way of life. New way of life. Life is different. We are delighted about discovering. We are happy about discovering obvious differences. Now, of course, most of you have gone somewhere out of Iraq overseas. So we are happy when we see different differences. The shape of buildings, the products in stores, and the way people dress. However, as we find places to live, begin our jobs, or begin to study and use the transportation system, we feel the impact of the culture or our lives. يعني دانا نشعر بالحنين للوطن. تروح زيارة 1 week 2 weeks, it's okay. يعني لكن when you settle there, تبقى stay there, and you want to begin your new life, work, study, here you will feel the impact, the influence of the culture. تأثير culture on your life. We discover that we have to think about, even prepare for, the simplest daily activities, such as paying bills, buying food. You see, these are cultures. These are related to culture. Buying food, doing laundry, taking a bath, using a telephone. These activities soon weigh on us. Okay? تنفرض علينا. Resulting in culture shock. This is very important term. مهم هذا الترم. Culture shock. شنو تعريف الكالتشر شوك؟ هذا تعريفه. اوكي. حكينا قبل شوي. هذا تعريف. انه when we move to another country, and when we settle in this country, when we stay in this country, when things are imposed on us, okay, the result is what? Culture shock. As one Peace Corps volunteer said, مثلا واحد هذا volunteer يقول مثلا, in a very real sense, all the convenient culture quotients we have become accustomed to having around are in one moment totally dislodged. You are left flat on your back with only that within you for support. This is just an example. We will see what is culture shock. Some of us exhibit symptoms of culture shock. يعني تطلع عليه احنا شو هذا المريض يطلع عليه عوارض يعني. Okay. Symptoms of culture shock تبين عليه كورونا مثلا. So some of us exhibit symptoms of culture shock تظهر عليه تبين. We may become depressed or nervous. You see, some people, maybe you have some friends or from family, when they go out of Iraq and they settle there, they may talk to you, might talk to you. They showed how they are depressed, nervous, or complain about the food, the weather, housing, and the host people's behavior. We might become physically ill, make irrational comments, have fits of anger over minor incidents, or become very homesick, spending endless hours writing to friends and family. شلون ما يطلعون بالتلفزيون يبكون يقولون احنا هذا عندنا homesick حنين للوطن والبلد ويبكون واحنا نضحك عليهم نقول شو ذولا مرتاحين قاعد بوربه وكذا. لا اختلف الوضع لأن culture is different. ما يقدر مثلا تخيل أنت واحد مثلا راح البلد واختلف عليه الأكل فود اللبس، يعني مثلا واجهوا مشاكل problems، شلون هم همين يجون إنه different problems ما نقدر يعني نحكي يعني تقدرون تشوفوه. Some of us شلون يصير reaction to culture shock. Some of us by withdrawing ننسحب. withdrawing we stay home. اكو stay home. اكو واحد يروح 20 سنة لأمريكا يرجع ما يحكي إنجليزي فنتفاجئ يقول له why you are not speaking English, why you don't speak English. and هذا ايش سوى عنده withdrawing. stay home, just at home, sleep, and generally avoid contact with people in the host culture. You see, this is number one. Some of us temporarily withdraw to the expatriate community to ease the symptoms, seeking refuge from everyday problems by avoiding participation in the host culture. Some end up staying in this safe harbor since it is familiar and comfortable. However, by surrendering to the seemingly more pleasant world of people like ourselves, we sacrifice dreams, our visions of making friends, learning the language, and living among the people of the host culture becomes blurred. For some of us, what was a pleasant refuge becomes a void in which life can become vaguely unsatisfying. You see, هاي النظرة المخيبة يعني واحد اللي يصير عنده withdrawing. Although not all of us, of course, some of us seek refuge in the expatriate community to escape culture shock. Okay? يختلط وياهم حتى يتخلص من هاي الشوك. Others of us continue to endure يتحمل يعني despite the discomfort. And instead of withdrawing أكو ما ينسحب, we reach out into a larger community, making friends. Some of us make friends, working out problems as they arise. We reflect on and learn from our experiences, and as we do this, we start to realize that we are adjusting. يعني adjusting يعني معناته يتكيف مع الشيء، يعني يتغير حالا حالا. As that we are adjusting. Everyday life becomes routine. Okay, we can't get on a crowded bus like a native, give exact change for a purchase. You see, شفتين أنا شلون فادتك الculture? When you go to people and see how people behave in a bus or change for a purchase تشتري have fun at party. راح يقول such الفائدة نسميه culture. يقول له مثلا أنت بالبارتي بحفلة دولة شلون نسوي fun. What do you say? When you visit a friend, what do you say? In the hospital, when you play games that were once foreign to us. Very important. Such adjustments are typified by an understanding that cultural behaviors and values are simply different. See? They are what? Simply different. We still have cultural stress and problems to contend with, but we become more empathetic, understanding that people in the host culture have been raised in a culture different from our own. Likewise, we develop a greater ability to tolerate and cope with نتعود with the external culture patterns أنماط الحياة. We acquire alternative ways, different ways of behaving, feeling, and responding to others. As we adjust, self-confidence increases. من نتعود على الوضع ايش راح يصير عندنا self-confidence increases, and as we interact freely a new self-image emerges, appears, تظهر لنا صورة جديدة, تكون شخصية جديدة, a new identity as a participant in the host culture, etc. This is what we mean by adjustment, okay? For us, for the strangers who go to another country, how they adjust, how they cope, tolerate with a new situation, okay? I hope it is clear. This is just introduction to the main ideas that we are going to talk about later on. So this is the first question. What is a reasonable working definition of culture? We talked about it and we said culture is something related to norms, beliefs, values, behaviors, okay, and also cultural adjustments. Also we see examples, differences between cultures, and also here adjustment, how we confront the new situation. With the drawing, we have shock, culture shock with the drawing, or facing the new situation and adjust to the new situation. Next lecture, we will talk about the benefits of adjusting to another country and also cultural concepts. What cultural concepts can EFL, ESL teachers teach students? You see? راح يقول شلون ندرس يعني what cultural concepts? What problems do EFL, ESL teachers have related to culture and language teaching and learning? This is very important. Next lecture we will talk about these details. If you have any question, please you can ask.